So we're out here at the Grand National Truck Show, doing some special episodes actually at the show. You can kind of hear some background noise going on, but we are actually here with a special guest, Rob Fortier from Classic Truck Performance. And you've been in the truck world, the hot rod world for 20, 30 years?
32
Almost
years.
32 years.
32, huh?
Yeah, and so you've kind of seen the progression, seen the wave of classic trucks and hot rods over the years. And you're also part of the judging team here as well this weekend, correct?
I am, yes, I am. Yeah.
So what have you seen so far out here as maybe a trend or a style or a common theme maybe?
Within the judging or the show itself?
Just in the show itself or the judging, just what's kind of, there's always some things you start seeing pop up here and there, and anything catching your eye on that?
A lot of money being thrown at trucks. A lot of money being thrown at trucks.
That's definitely true because, I mean, this is like the sister of the Grand National Roadster Show.
Yeah.
And
I think guys are trying to do something different, and it's pretty hard to do nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you do something completely different and not be obvious? A good example is this green truck right here with that bed floor. Did you see that?
That's, with the resin, live wood
that's
edge,
insane.
bed
That's
floor.
a 350-pound bed floor, or tonneau. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
tonneau
yeah.
cover.
Tonneau cover, yeah.
That's insane. I wouldn't do that.
And that's
but
probably
man,
like
that's
8 inches thick or something, and just
it's
resin and wood.
Insane, yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I like seeing that. I like seeing someone
It's a nice
go,
detail you can do something a little extra.
the old fat jack truck where they took the wheels and cut them in half. For
That was
display.
cool. I know.
I saw
Yeah.
it yesterday. I'm like, that's crazy.
For what? For the stand? Or
Yeah,
for
for the stand.
Yeah.
So it's like
no,
a cutaway.
I'll see that.
Yeah,
I've
it's
seen
really
that a few
cool.
times
So
where
they-
they've just cut out the hub in one spoke or something
They
like
didn't
that.
3D print plastic. They took an actual wheel,
Right.
cut
That's
it,
cool.
an actual tire, filled it with foam,
Yeah.
body worked it so it looks like a cutaway you'd have at a
Yeah.
dealership or something.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's
It
pretty
looks
cool.
super cool.
Yeah.
And even that display, too. You look at this, the work that goes into some of these just displays
Absolutely.
are amazing. And I know that's, for this kind of show, you want a display. It's not like an outside show. It's like you're competing for the most beautiful truck. So you definitely have to have what it matches.
And I believe you came up with the Wombat.
I think it was Ronnie Wetch who first came up with it. I will give him credit. C-10 Talk Ronnie.
Right.
But I took it and ran with it.
Yeah. I think we've all have it now. We made it a thing. Yeah.
It fits, right?
Yeah.
Right. No, it
because
does.
you had the amber.
Sure.
And then last year, I believe, there was a truck from New Zealand or Australia.
New Zealand.
Yeah,
Okay.
that competed. So then technically it's
a world event.
So it's the world's most beautiful truck, and we got Wombat from that.
But aren't wombats from New Zealand or Australia?
They are from that region, yeah.
Are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they really are.
That makes sense.
So it
even
makes
more.
sense.
I'm not an animal expert. Bro.
Right. Perry the Platypus is on TV.
But just kind of back to what you were talking about with the amount of money being put into trucks now versus, because 10, 15 years ago, you'd see in the hot rod world $150,000 builds to $1 million builds. You're seeing that as fairly common with trucks now.
What I'm also seeing is the exact opposite, and I think that's the great thing about our hobby is you can take
with trucks. Yeah,
you can go buy a truck out in a field somewhere,
Right.
Bitch and patina, pull all the sheet metal off, spend 50 grand or so on a chassis, put that back on, and have a showstopper.
Right.
One that people will look at more so than any of these cars and trucks in
that's
contention.
how a lot of the C-10 stuff
I love
kind
that,
of started to happen maybe 18 years ago.
Yeah,
or so.
right now.
Because it was like, all right, well, I can get a truck for $500 or $1,000, throw 20 grand in it and suspension and some cleanup work in the motor and have fun with it.
And it'll still get on the cover of a magazine.
Yeah, and it'll still get a lot of attention.
30 years ago in the hot rod world, that was laughed at. That was unfinished.
You were the junker, you were the shop
and
truck
I was
or
fine with that
something.
because that's what I did back then.
Yeah.
That's all I could afford, and
Right.
even now. So I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah, just seeing the variety or the scale from that to something like that that's easily a six-figure build and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
but it's still good to see that though, because innovation comes out of these six-figure builds.
and you don't
Absolutely, I
see
think
that,
that's what it's for.
Right? Yeah.
You don't see that necessarily in maybe some of the other genres. You're not going to. I mean, you do maybe, but they're not maybe
to
as
the same degree.
respected.
Yeah,
Right,
no, I
right.
agree.
You see a clapped
I
out
agree.
Honda. It's not getting the same respect
But
as a.
the great
nice
thing
import.
about this world is they can commingle. Your
Right.
patina truck and your $1 million truck, they're going to get the same attention. In a show like this.
Together.
And that's, I think, too. I mean, we're going to have our staples. We're going to have, like, when you get a C-10, it's going to have a little bit of its recipe just because it fits that style. But like,
And the parts are available.
And the parts
for
are
that,
available. But also, too, people tweak them. Like, we were looking at that dually with a boat yesterday.
You didn't know it was a dually.
And I didn't know it was a dually.
No, I didn't know it was a dually. I thought it was just a wide single wheel in the back or something.
And even, too, looking at it, you can tell it was built a couple years ago.
It was built in the 80s.
It was built in the... see
it was
what I'm
built
saying?
in the 80s?
A couple of years ago.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm being nice.
It still looks good, but that's...
But that's when you look at it, you're kind of like, there's a lot of Easter eggs in it, which was also kind of popular at that time to do that.
Well, it was ahead of its time.
And it was ahead of its
time.
Right.
Yeah.
And
no, there's still some things on it where now you'd go, oh, that's cool, that's different,
but the key lock...
I don't understand it. I wish Art Christman was still here.
Right.
Whoever did that to explain why. No one who worked on that truck was
I remember several people doing similar things to that back in the day on hot rods.
Why?
I don't want to bend over to pick up a dime. Why would I bend over?
The latch is here.
Yeah.
This is where the latch is, the locks.
It's a toe key, like you said yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a toe key.
Yeah. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
But it's a topic of conversation. You see it, why?
Right.
The execution, like you said,
beautiful truck. Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Explain that to me.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing on it. That would probably be the only thing to pinpoint of like, okay, that's a little weird or not. Like everything was, the bumpers were all tucked in, smoothed in. It was like a mix of an 88 to 98 and a
it has a
C-10.
Well, even the front headlights are out of like Chevy van that have been
reworked
into
completely
like
different.
bezels.
Yeah.
So the owner, McPherson, owned the dealership.
Yeah.
So everything, not everything, but a lot of stuff on that truck is from a brand new OBS at the time. Which was kind of innovative.
Yeah.
Now, and that's the cool thing about this show is there's people here that remember that, that are into the scene, and kids, young people like you guys.
Oh, yeah. We're like,
they're like,
no, I mean, I hadn't seen it before and hadn't known it.
Yeah. So that's what I love about the show is it's got such a wide range.
You're bringing in some of the older crowd, the hot rod guys, or the F100 classic truck crowd.
Like we were talking about.
Well, because I like this too because trucks are still daily drivers.
Absolutely.
Right? Or parts runners or whatever. So the guy that might be driving a truck in that we think's pretty clean, that might be his daily driver. Where a hot rod show, it's their garage car.
Do you know Rick Lefevre?
No.
His Flame OBS out here?
Okay.
The red one.
Yeah,
single cab.
Daily driver, parked outside, 300,000 miles. It looks like it's brand new.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I like about these shows.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
you don't build
there's
a
more versatility
and drive it every day, park it outside.
No
Some
way.
guys do.
Yeah.
Chris Shelton did it, but I don't
some people are crazy.
Right. Yeah.
But that's the big difference, and that's what I love about it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
So what? You're like I said, you're part of the judging team as well for Wombat. Can you give us any inside peeks or what you've seen so far?
Chris Brown kind of really made me realize this. I was looking at all the trucks as I would for a feature in the magazine.
Yeah.
I'd look at it and I'd see something, a little blem or something that wasn't right. I'm like, I can photograph around that.
Yeah.
And it won't show in the magazine. Whereas
We've
in
all
the
done
judging,
that.
you have to consider that.
Yes.
You know, it's like the most beautiful truck might have, the bed might be off, 3/4 of an inch. On one side you don't see it, the other you do. We'll shoot it from this side.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. In a photo you're not going to see it as much.
But in the judging, you have to consider that.
Yeah.
And I was having a hard time with that. I'm like, well, God, that would look great on the cover. Yeah. Just shoot around that little blem.
Yeah.
So we have to consider that here, and that's the part I didn't like.
Right.
Yeah, you're going, but I know in the past, probably 10 years ago, Amber was very points based, and so it's kind of like throwing out. They changed that judging to be more. What's the design aesthetic?
Opinionated, which it is same thing here.
Same thing
here. Some of the guys last year were using a quote unquote point system. I'm like, no, I don't think that's fair because I think it needs to be aesthetic as well as technical.
Right.
And there can be some flaws.
And that's what we've looked at it, and I think you mentioned it as well last year of like, this is the most beautiful. That's the title of the award.
Right.
It's not the most engineered.
Yeah.
It's not the most things done to it. It's what is beautiful.
I guess that's why they have a panel of judges versus one.
Yeah.
So we can have the
opinions. Because then it's going to be subjective. Beauty is going to be subjective.
Fight over it in that little room up there tonight. And
it's true though.
Which in that the watchtower.
Yep. Right there. That's where it'll all go down at 5 o'clock tonight.
Well, think about it this way too. Look at the contenders here. So it's really hard to say, oh, that guy, his wheels are not as clean as that guy's wheels because they're both just as clean. I mean, they're building things to fractions.
I was going to say, how do you kind of compare and contrast or nitpick if there's like both check all the boxes? Like, where would you go then from there?
I think it's hard.
I know, and that's
it's just hard. Right.
I agree.
Yeah. I think it's just
We'll see if they agree tonight.
Right.
But,
right.
You just kind of got to get a consensus or get
I won't
other
give
people.
up that easily.
Yeah. I will mention this though. Black is popular this year. Right?
Yeah, we got it's C-10 from Hot Rods by Dean. Got the F100 from Classic Car Studio.
And And we all know black is the hardest to
That's
pull
what I'm
off.
saying. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think that these guys were asking for it, if you really kind of think about it. Like, you know, if you're going to pick a color that you're going to go after a most beautiful award, black usually is in the first 1 to 3 picks. So,
well, and because you can see every detail way better with black,
you can see every flaw.
and you can see every flaw. So
Right.
you got to step
you
it
walk
up.
that fine line. I mean,
Yeah.
Jason, you know that just from this
that's-
week.
yeah,
You
we
know,
know
messing
black.
around with your Tahoe, and it's just like, wow, black cars. You know,
I hate black.
yeah, yeah.
It's only good once when you finish it.
Yep.
It is never as
And
good
it's good
as
for about an hour.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
right. Until you walk away and walk back. It's not
Yeah.
even an hour. Just
Yeah.
walk away, walk back, and
Yeah.
there it is again.
Well, you saw how much time they spent buffing that out.
Exactly.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
These guys spent all day
No, and that's
long
the
here.
Hot Rods by Dean Truck. They were
Yeah.
buffing it, detailing, had
all day.
windows taped off, everything, just going
Yeah.
for it. Versus after setting it all up. So
Right. Well, good.
being that this won't air until after the show, is there at least your favorite pick? And it could be not just the Wombat, or
Yeah,
it could
yeah,
be maybe just anything in the show. What's if anything catch your eye?
In the show,
Yeah.
I was thinking of my answer, and then I forgot what you asked.
If
In the show or in
Remove-
competition?
maybe give me both if there's a difference. So like
Right.
in the competition for Wombat, and then just if you were walking through here and you had to say what's your favorite truck, that's your favorite truck.
There's a couple that should be in contention. The one from Born Vintage,
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I
That's-
think that was in contention last year here.
I don't know.
Is
Oh,
it
really?
the greenish C-10?
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
a
last
shiny-
year it was.
No, it wasn't
It
one
wasn't?
of the...
Really?
I know it was at the Roadster show.
Maybe.
Okay.
So maybe
they-
didn't.
I
yeah.
thought they just finished that up. Painted bumpers. The one
Yeah.
far corner over there.
Yeah.
I love that truck. I also
it's
like
really
the
nice,
Blazer. I think it's a Blazer from Total Performance.
Yeah.
From Salinas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Nice.
My favorite, though, and I'm going to regret saying this, that Chevy Love behind you.
That Chevy Love
With
is really
the-
cool.
I would strip
The
all the
hand
Sharpie out.
drawing.
Yeah.
Right.
I would get all of that off. I'm not a fan of that, but I love that truck.
I know.
love
Love
Chevy
it.
Love.
Chevy
I know.
Loves, yeah.
And it's sitting right, and
Yeah.
it has horsepower, and it's doing what you would probably want to do is
Yeah.
drive the hell out of it.
Yeah, I would.
There's a nice C10 that's by the front door. It's
White
white,
one?
and
Oh, yeah.
it's a beautiful truck.
The
When you
one
start
that Ron
looking,
Jones built.
okay, is
Yeah.
that who built? Okay, and I feel bad because the paint job, everything's flawless.
What'd you see wrong with it?
It's white, and everybody just walks past it.
Okay.
But when you really start looking at it, it's something that Easter eggs all over the place. The workmanship is amazing.
It is, yeah.
Innovation's there, but it's white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just. See
So
you
if it
later.
was black, would you have stopped?
I would have stopped.
Okay.
I would-
Any other
I
color
think-
besides white?
Any other color but white.
Okay.
And I think more people would. I even yesterday when we were moving in, I was stopping people. I'm like, "What do you think of this truck?" They go, "I didn't even notice it." And then they started looking at it, like, "Oh my God, this is
Yeah.
so." And I'm like, "It's the color, you know." But and I want to say that white's fine, paint whatever you want. But I think if you're in contention for something, and I know he's not in contention this year, he's just showing it.
Yeah.
But if you're really going to go after a big award, you got to think of what color you're going to paint something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, I think we see a lot of candy apple reds
Right.
or things that show like the beauty of it, show some of the curves or show some of the details on it. But I mean, so what in Wombat competition then? Not what do you say? What you think's going to win or anything? Just what
It has
what do you
rear
like?
fenders. Let me just put it that way.
Oh, that's
It
good.
has rear fenders.
That's good. I know what he's already thinking of. That's good, though.
Now,
it doesn't
I
have
wanna
bed
ask,
size.
Are they
It's
large
fenders.
rear fenders?
They have wheel wells in them.
They have wheels.
Okay.
All right.
It has how many wheels? Like
Two.
Two that are on him.
2+?
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. That's
But I
good.
want to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
Okay, we've had this conversation before.
Right.
You know what I do for a living.
Yep.
I'm a magazine guy till I die.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about current wave of magazines and where do you see them going?
Are you asking current rate of automotive media or current rate of magazines?
Both.
Because I've
Print.
always looked at it as
Print.
automotive media, and print is one aspect of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
To me, I've always said it's got to be for print, just being able to make it. People want to purchase it. You got to make the quality there. You got to make it special
absolutely.
than what it used to be.
It's 2024.
Right.
It's not anywhere near what it was 20 years ago.
No.
And I think the decision we made 4 years ago to start a company fresh was stupid, but it's working.
Yeah.
We started in COVID.
Yeah.
Worst time ever. You would think But people were stuck at home. I think they wanted to read
they
magazine.
had something to.
So maybe it worked for us in a good way. But I'm always curious. We're old magazine guys,
right?
Right. I don't know what the future is for a print magazine.
And like I said, I've always looked at it as automotive media. So that's going to be the content, and then whatever the delivery system is. If it's print, web, video,
I'm just talking purely print.
For print, if you find that niche that's going to be loyal to it, and as long as whether you're selling it on demand or subscription or whatever, if the margin's there, and just make it quality where people want to buy it, I think that works. I know it was just in the past the magazine model of print 150,000 copies, sell 30,000 copies, and destroy the rest was wasteful.
Yeah. No, that's dialed way back.
If you can dial that in to where you're at that
if we sell 10,000, we're printing pretty close to 10,000.
And that's kind of where you got to look at it and where you can make the money at it.
I think the good thing about the truck market is it's still so strong.
Yes.
The hobby is strong. The aftermarket is very strong. I can't say that about other areas of hot rodding. I don't know. I see that going down a little bit.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's, and if you look at hot rods or street rods or something versus, you look at Hot Rod Magazine that's had trucks and muscle cars and Pro Street on the cover, so it's not hot rod in that sense.
Well, but you guys, we're also talking about a generational thing. Like Rob said, we're used to magazines.
We grew up on magazines.
Right, so now magazine companies have to kind of work for their dinner, where they've got to convince somebody, hey, you need to grab this. This is something that you're not going to get on the web, and make it more personal. But I also think that has to do a lot with brand, too. Rob, I've been reading you for years. I read you for a reason, because I want to know what's inside. I want to know why you tick. Why'd you lay out, pinstriping on your truck over there, right? Why'd you choose that? So that's something I think that comes from the guy that you read.
So that's always been my goal is if you can't relate a magazine to its editor, the editor's not doing his job.
Well,
he doesn't have to be right there out in front of it,
right? Yeah.
But they need to say, "Oh, Rob's doing classic performance."
I agree with that.
Look at influencers right now on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, whatever. Same thing. They have a brand. They have someone recognizes that guy. The Cletus McFarland. Someone goes, "Oh, that's Cletus McFarland." No, his name's Garrett, but.
They recognize the brand.
They recognize the brand.
But the person.
So it's the same thing with a magazine.
There's
magazine
a personal connection too with that.
Yeah. It's more difficult because again too, now there's more players in their deal, so it's just got to be unique, And honestly, see, it's difficult. I go back to this too. I've been reading you for years, so to me, it's like just I'm reading Rob. But I think newer people that don't know that and haven't got to know you, that's something I think that you guys just getting more magazines and getting more exposure out there, stuff like this.
Yeah.
Just introduce, hey, dude, read Rob. He's awesome. That's, right?
Well, so on that note, so inthegaragemedia.com, Classic Truck Performance on Instagram. Just, if you want to rattle off all the ways to check you out and check the magazine out.
Facebook as well. I don't do Facebook, but I think all the older people do. But no, I rely on Instagram pretty heavily. You guys know that.
Yeah.
We all do. Yeah. It's a good tool for communication. It's been working well for us, but it's oddly enough, we started out as a digital company using print as kind of a support system. It turned around. Print is our main.
Okay.
It's crazy. We didn't expect that. So we had to change our strategy, right out the gate.
That's what you kind of have to do is evolve with it and keep up with the times.
We said we are not going to sell retail.
Yeah.
Online only. We're in Walmart, Barnes & Noble now.
Right.
Insane.
Right.
It went the opposite way.
But that's the thing. You look at all of the grocery stores that had an aisle of magazines. And now it's about the size of this table. And, Yeah. So
times are changing. But
so go check out Rob, Classic Truck Performance. In the Garage Media, they also got Modern Rodding and All Chevy Performance.
Nick Licata,
Are you guys doing any more magazines or thinking of pushing anything else out or just sticking with those?
We have talked about, titles? And I don't know if I should say this, but I'm gonna because I want to do it really bad. We've talked about doing a vintage off-road magazine.
Oh my God.
I think that would be very cool.
Yeah. Hey, whoa, okay. We can talk off camera on that one.
Classic off-road performance.
Yes.
I didn't say that,
cool. But hey, that's a good.
But it's hot. There is a need for that. I think. We are primed to do that.
Okay.
So now that it's out there, I want to hear the support for that.
Yeah.
Vintage off-road.
Yeah, vintage off-road truck performance.
Classic off-road performance.
Classic off-road performance.
Because there you go.
Yeah, because it's
right.
And
classic.
So
You can go anything. It can be from the
Baja
Baja
Bug.
Bugs all the way up to
we just went the history of the Baja Bug.
Right.
So yeah, you could have something like that to a Blazer to a 4-wheel drive.
There's a lot of history in that though, so I think you guys have a lot of legs.
That
in
would be cool.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, and that would be really cool. A lot of people have a lot of stuff that photo albums of going out to all these.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I grew up in that stuff. My dad, one of his best friends, raced Class A 2-seat buggy.
Okay.
My 4th grade teacher's Walker Evans' mom.
Right.
So I was just immersed in
Yeah.
that. And
that was all part of everything. Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right.
So
we'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate
it. We'll see you guys next time.
So you've been following along on Auto Revolution, you know that we're a big fan of Chevy OBS trucks. And Beltec Suspension has been around for 40 years, and they were one of the first innovators of the sport truck movement back in the 80s. And we've been lucky with them to partner on a few different projects, from the OBS Clash documentary series to the Tahoe Unlimited, and even a few things that we've got up our sleeves coming out later this year. What's really cool is they've partnered with us to offer free shipping if you use the code AutoRevolution24 at beltec.com. So whether it's a lowering kit on your Chevy or a lift kit on your Bronco or your Jeep, and if you use the code AutoRevolution24 at beltec.com, you're going to get free shipping. Now back to the show. So we're back here at the Grand National Truck Show, and this time we have Chris Coddington of Hot Rods by Boyd as our guest sitting in. You brought a couple OBS trucks out here, kind of some little bit throwback style, but modernized a little bit. Let's kick it off and tell us about those initially. Just
one's
get it started.
An original throwback. It's the original chop truck that my dad built. It's over by our booth down here.
Right.
So that's cool. A lot of people appreciate that truck and having it out here, and a little piece of sport truck history.
Well, because that truck was built when?
89.
1989.
Yeah, brand new GMC.
Chopped
it, custom paint, like kind of pink with green.
Pink, I think it's called magenta.
Yeah, it is called magenta.
Sorry.
Not pink.
Magenta and charcoal.
Right.
But it's got original Boyd's 3-piece wheels on it.
Yeah.
And that was when your dad and stuff were doing 3-piece wheels before.
Yeah, they were all 3-piece before they went to 2-piece welded.
Yeah. So when was it you go to the 2-piece welded? What
Probably
year was
in 1990, 91 is when we transitioned into that.
And from my understanding, a lot of that was, and the wheel company really ramped up around the OBS CK trucks.
Yeah. I mean, when the CK trucks came out, the wheel, it was kind of this convergence of the CNC technology, the billet wheels for the hot rods, and then, hey, let's put them on these trucks. And then it was just like production, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, there was a combination of one-off stuff, but it was just like, here's a new design. And then we had cast-centered wheels, and that's when the volume went. Once we had started casting our own centers, that's when the volume really took off, because it lowered that price point.
Right.
Yeah. Lowered the price point, lowered the amount of time it took to produce it.
Exactly. And then it was just, by the thousands. I mean, we all know how many sport trucks were out there in the 90s, man. Yeah. It was like...
And that's and you've on both of the on the green truck, you brought another single cab green truck out here, and that has actually one of the 90s style wheels, but you've done it in a larger diameter now.
So last few years, what's been popular is taking some of these old school designs, I call my retro series, and upsizing them. Because back then, we were always limited by the tires that are available.
Right.
So back in the day, 17-inch was the biggest.
Exactly.
And then when it went to 18, and then it started in the late 90s, started to go to 20-inch. But now, I mean, we do those things all the way up to 24-inch.
So that's definitely been something really popular in the last few years that you've done, is
for sure
bring back the nostalgia, the old school wheels, but in 18s, in 20s, 22s, 24s even.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff, though, what we're finding is a lot of guys aren't cutting trucks up. They're building just daily drivers. So, a lot of 20s, even 18s,
Well, look at even the truck that we just worked on. I mean, just, our friend Chris Crisali, where he bought a very clean Survivor truck that was on a set of 17-inch center lines, but the truck looked dated.
Oh, yeah.
But by putting a set of your wheels on it in 20s, it just updated the truck.
Yeah. Even though there's still a throwback style, retro style wheel, just the large diameter, changes it up completely, and even lowered it a little bit more than it was.
Right.
Well, it's 5.7 Beltec.
It's now a 5.7 Beltec.
It was a 4.6, kind of your standard 4.6 17s was like
that was
standard
the formula
back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the aftermarket's now catching on last few years, and start making more parts for it. There's brake kits, better suspension kits. It's just a lot more stuff. Because back in the day, you kind of had Beltec was the king of that stuff.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was you really didn't need to do more than put a Beltec kit on it and some custom wheels.
Yeah,
and
maybe
drive
a roll
it around.
or
But now,
something like that. Yeah.
You know, now with the aftermarket brake kits and just running like Alden coilovers on those things and adjustable stuff, and it's cool.
Yeah,
it's
cool. Companies are making full chassis for them, like they've done with the C-10s. So, and that's what I think I look at with the OBS market, sport trucks. Look at the early days too of the C-10 market, where people weren't going all out, or they're doing just mild things.
Oh yeah,
and then it progressed.
Oh, for sure.
So that's what I kind of see probably happening within the OBS stuff. Of okay, right now we're at the point of billet wheels, lowering kit, couple upgrades here and there. We haven't gotten to the point where like a lot of people are doing full start to finish builds on them. A couple shops here and there.
Yeah.
But we're going to start seeing more of that. And we saw a handful out at the Triple Crown of rodding, out there, like from Hills Hot Rods, Twin State. There's a handful of other ones coming out of Arizona. But that's probably going to be the next, as people kind of phase out of C-10s being popular. All right, well, now let's put the money into the CK trucks and the OBS trucks.
Let's face it, though. I mean, as far as trucks, nothing beats an OBS daily driver truck, right?
Yeah.
And having the custom one, I mean, those things that you can get the air blowing ice cold. They drive like a
still
car.
Has all the power.
It's it's not, square bodies are cool, but not as clunky and loud and comfortable as an OBS truck.
Right.
So,
Now, okay, I saw a red Blazer here at the show.
Yeah.
And it has
from Twisted Metal.
I want to say that,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And they had a nice Camaro dash, a nice Camaro, like late model Camaro interior.
Yeah. Fifth
Do you
gen,
think that is kind of a trend that we're looking at? Because as these trucks get older, there's some things that are not going to be very replaceable. So do you think we'll see interior swaps?
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
we're
kind of seeing it now, but I think that more and more companies, especially like you just talked about the C-10 stuff, moving into the square body and progressing. It's like the next classic. It all cycles around.
Right.
So it's nothing for these people to tool up and just,
it's
go to the next, go to the next, go to the next,
on to the next thing. Yeah.
Well, and then also there's always that theory too of the whole, like, whatever was popular in high school, the middle-aged guy will try to get back. So
for sure.
Yeah. Well, and that's we've seen that even not just in the truck world of your 90s era, late 80s, 90s era cars are more popular now because of just the years progressing, pricing out of other things, but then also it's now that guy's 40 or 50, and that was what was cool back in the day, or they always wanted.
And you can afford it now.
And that's the other thing.
Exactly.
I hear that all the time, like pulling into the gas station with that green truck, and it's just like, oh, wow, people are like, dude, my uncle had one of these, and my dad had one of these, and I always wanted one. I couldn't afford it. I'm like,
well,
this one's for sale.
This one's for sale. We can
make afford it now.
Right.
No, that's cool, man.
So you've been coming to, this is the sister show of the Grand National Roadster Show.
Yeah.
You've been coming to that show for a long time. Your dad competed in that since the late 70s, early 80s. Winning Amber Awards. Yeah. What do you see of maybe the kind of the transition of, you've gone to tons of truck shows. This is kind of the Grand National Roadster Truck Show.
Yeah.
Where do you see this kind of maybe the difference or the similarities from that show to this one compared to other truck shows?
Well, this one's still fairly new, and I think it's getting a lot of local support right now. But I hope that it grows into something that, as prestigious as the Roadster Show. Because it's the quality of trucks here right now is good.
Yeah.
But it's like, and there's a lot of shows going on. I mean, look at last week. It was a Triple Crown of hot rodding.
That's right.
And it's one of those things. I hope they can draw that talent here. It's just tough when you got something. I mean, let's face it. Like during summer, it's something going on every weekend.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good shows.
Right.
And it's like you got to pick and choose, and it's tough to put these shows on. But this is a good. It looks like a good turnout, and there's some good quality stuff here in a range. There's a range of stuff.
That's what I really like.
There's some off-road stuff. There's some your classic hot rod trucks to C-10s to even mini trucks. There's a handful of mini trucks that are really nice out here.
Yeah. It is kind of like a little walk down memory lane because you can walk
Yeah.
down and kind of go, oh my God, I remember that, or I haven't seen that, or
Well, that's you got the new minis guys. They're
yeah,
bringing out
yeah.
the '80s style, LA trucks and
Yeah, they
Right.
got like the California Kid tribute truck
Yep.
here, right? That was just one at Triple Crown of Hot Rodding, and
Yeah.
they brought it out here this weekend, and
that's
right.
cool.
so that's kind of cool, right? So these people that follow this stuff online, they can be like, oh, that's going to be there.
Yeah,
You don't have to travel to Tennessee to see that thing. It's
right.
there right now.
Right.
And that's what's always been cool about trucks. What I've always liked is that there's been the truck is the theme that brings everybody together, and within that there is off-road, mini truck, classic,
Right.
new performance stuff like that. Versus like muscle car is like it's a muscle car.
Right, yeah.
There's certain things
Trucks
whereas
are cool.
trucks kind of can grab a lot more variety out of it.
Trucks also seem younger, whereas you look at like the Roadster show, 32 Fords, 55 Chevys. This show seems to be more just a younger crowd.
Yeah, and like we've always said it, like if you're a hot rod guy, you have your hot rod, but you have a truck.
Yeah.
You got a truck.
Yeah,
and even if it's just
everybody's
more of
got
a
a truck if you
utilitarian truck,
Yeah.
you have a truck. You have to have a truck.
Right.
But you're probably gonna, and that's what a lot of the sport truck guys were doing back then. That they were doing the same tricks from their hot rod.
Yeah.
The Boyd look we've talked about of smoothing everything out, making painting monochromatic, putting the wheels on. So it was kind of mimicking the hot rod stuff of
That
the
they were-
era
yeah, right,
for
for
sure.
a lot
Yeah,
of
I
that.
mean-
So it's all kind of, even though you had just your daily shop truck, it still probably had some of those hot rod touches
Yeah.
to it.
People always customize trucks, but not as much to the extent as when the OBS trucks came out. That changed the game.
Right.
No,
that
for sure.
changed the
I
game.
agree.
Especially at the dealership level. I mean, they always had dealership packages and stuff,
Yeah.
different vehicles, but once the
Not
CK trucks
as
came out,
much.
Yeah.
Maybe
it
it
was
was a
just like,
sticker.
I mean,
and
you go
some different
finance
wheels
one,
or
right? You go
something.
finance like
that's
sport
what-
truck.
Yes. That was the amazing part of that, is that at that time, you could just buy a done truck that you would take to a cruise night and make a monthly payment.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Well, go look at I have the original GMC Truck Center poster next to my truck over
Oh,
there.
that's cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how many times someone has come up to me and go, I have that poster.
Right.
I have that poster.
Yeah.
Everyone had that poster back in
It's
the
true.
day.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's an iconic truck.
No, and that's, we were even talking a little bit earlier with a guy at Lance and stuff who's had 3 OBS trucks since the 90s. And, he's wanting to put an old set of, we were talking about Troy fans from you on there.
Already.
And his thing was that BF Goodrich ad from back in the day with the Beltec, the orange Beltec truck with those wheels on it.
Yeah.
And but
Why
hey,
not?
But he wants 22s. So it's
Well, no,
just
that's
modernize
Get
it.
with the times.
Yeah.
Right? Totally.
And that's the thing, you can have it look like that, but it's gonna kind of look now like old man just kind of kept it for 30 years.
Yeah.
Whereas if you upgrade a little bit with some newer wheels, you can make it change the difference.
Super nice too, man.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So it's kind of early in the day, so I don't know if you got a chance to walk
You're
around.
going to buy me a Pink's hot dog? Is that what you're talking
Well,
about?
that's that might
Is that what
be
you're
That's
getting
an
at
hour-
right
that's an
now?
hour or
for
so.
that one.
Yeah, right.
Okay, but
The Dolly
walking
Parton or
around
whatever.
here, what have you seen that you? What's caught your eye?
I need to walk around, to be honest
Right,
with
I was
you.
going to say, I know it's early. So.
Anything yet?
Because,
though?
you know,
Any
I'm
truck you've gone.
Well,
you've stood and taken a look at for more than a second.
You know what? Okay, so I'm a selfish person in this aspect because I walk around and I look at who's got my wheels on there.
I know
Right?
that.
So,
yeah.
So
That makes sense.
like Mark Oge's trucks over here with our set of a Columbus, right?
Yeah.
And then I got another guy pulled up next to him, and it's funny because I know the truck and I know the wheels, and I'm like, okay. And I walk up to the guy, I go, Mike?
Yeah, right.
And he goes, yeah, Chris. And I said, I knew it. I go, yeah, okay, because it's funny. But yeah, I mean, Matt's Blazers is still one of my favorites.
Yeah,
one of my
it's really
favorites.
nice.
One of the super nicely done.
Yeah,
blue and white,
That always,
K5,
and I'm not just saying it because it's got my wheels on it.
No,
nice,
it's not. It's
it'd
nice.
It'd be a nice Blazer no matter whose wheels are on that thing. Well,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well.
That's an exception.
That's just an extra point.
Yeah.
But, you know, gosh, I don't know. There's so much cool. I need to go. Actually, it's
Yeah,
pretty
'cause
early.
it
I
is,
do
it
need to
is.
go walk around, but
Right.
but like Matt's Blazer stands out as one of the nicer ones done here.
Nice.
You know, and you know, seeing the California Kid truck, it's kind of cool because that whole project's been a long time.
It has.
We
Right.
built it back in 2010. Bill hit me up about doing some custom front, like spindle mount wheels.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we did a set of those, and then Yeah, I don't know over the years. I don't know what happened. They swapped them out. I think they just swapped them out. Mike Curtis built a set of wheels to make it look like the original California kit with the Hell Rams.
Yeah, right.
Spindle mounts. The spindle mounts look bitching, but they were more of a one-off look for that truck.
So it didn't make sense,
match
right?
Yeah.
theme.
So, but yeah, no, that's a good looking. I mean, that's definitely a clean looking truck. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna walk around. Like I said, I hadn't. And plus, too, I've been inside all morning, so I haven't even. After we left outside, there's way more people outside now than so. I want to. There's some nice stuff outside,
and the sun's poking out, so I bet you there's going to be some more people coming around here. So we'll see what happens.
Cool, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, thanks for.
So thanks for coming by. How can people check you out?
Go to hotrodsbyboyd.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook. You know, all that
Snapchat,
stuff.
TikTok.
No, I don't do that yet. Should I get into that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Sounds a little fishy.
I don't know, right?
You know. Yeah, but check it all out. You know, we do. It's all our wheel lineups up there. We got a lot of apparel up there now. So if you want to get a square body shirt.
It's true.
Or OBS shirt, man, we got them at the booth.
Right.
Man, we do, I don't know, everything wheels. If it's billet wheels, hit us up. We know more than anybody else out there.
Because you guys do a lot of repair as well.
We do a lot of wheel repair. So if you got an old set of, whatever the two-piece wheel is, if it's two-piece welded, the chances are we can refinish them, repurpose them, rehoop them.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
Because especially some of the, back in the day, the early billet wheels, the hoops were not they were as strong as they are now.
No, they're all 61 aluminum now, where they were 5,000 series back then. But with some exception, they're all dimensionally the same. So we can cut your centers out, put them in new rims, and do that. And that's kind of a cool thing.
No, definitely.
We polish them out, and they look like a brand new set.
Yeah. I mean, and actually, I have a couple examples at the booth.
There you go.
We got an old set of Boyd's Deuces, 15
that's right.
inch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I picked them up on OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace or something. We refurbished them. They totally repolished them.
Perfect.
It's like
Did the guy that you bought it from off of that know who you are or any?
No, it was a woman, and I just made her an offer, and she took it. And I don't know. She didn't say anything.
Get rid of these wheels.
Yeah, there's probably stuff sitting.
But
they've been in the garage too long.
No, but check it all out. Yeah.
Go check them out. Hot Rods by Boyd, and thank you, Chris Coddington, for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
So if you're still rocking your stock stereo system, you need some help, and you need to go to Powerbase and check out their OEM direct fit line of speakers. Basically, a plug-and-play operation on any newer Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Nissan, you name it. And I actually got a full set in my Toyota 4Runner. It sounds amazing, especially considering you're basically just replacing the factory speakers. So go check them out at powerbaseusa.com. Use the code AUTOREV24, and you can get 10% off anything on the site, including these cool little Bluetooth speakers. This one right here is the Sound Cube. Clip it on your backpack, take it down to the beach. And what's really cool is this split speaker. So you can put one in the kitchen, one in the backyard at a party. Everyone's having a good time listening to the same music. Basically got like full stereo, almost surround sound system in this little package. So if you use the code AUTOREV24, you can get 10% off. So go check them out and take a listen. All right, so we're here in the sunny afternoon time at the Grand National Truck Show. Hopefully you're not blinded by the light like I am right now. But we're here with Sean Ramage, Empire Fabrication, and you're up in Ventura.
Yeah, Ventura, California.
Yeah, and so he's got a booth out here. It's interesting because this is obviously, we've mentioned before, this is a spin-off, if you will, or sister show of the Grand National Roadster Show. But you've had your hands literally on some America's most beautiful roadster winning cars like the Mulholland Speedster. You specialize in mostly metal fabrication, suspension work, but kind of give us a little bit of background on yourself and how you've kind of come up into this and where you went for those cars and now into the truck world more.
Yeah, so a little back is I worked for Hollywood Hot Rods for about 7 years, and I worked on the Mulholland Speedster and a lot of other high-end classic cars during that time. And then around towards the end of that, I went to Nelson, and I worked on a lot of Nelson racing engines and worked on a lot of muscle cars and pro touring style cars. Did a lot of sheet metal engine bays and stuff for them. And so now that we're full-time in our shop, I take a lot of the styling and the design stuff that I've learned through those other shops and that style building on how you build a high-end hot rod with the quality metal work, quality gaps, and getting stuff to flow, and then taking that in and putting it into even the basic of little trucks.
Yeah, mini truck or a square body or
square
something.
bodies,
Mm-hmm.
and so actually in our booth today, we have 2 square bodies, one completed, one finished, or a completed C30, and we have a Project Jimmy. But we also have a high-end Chevy Love that is going to be a crazy build.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of cool too to see some of the mini trucks coming back in a high level of that. You know, I mean, is that one going to be a high level build, or is it just
already is.
Or I'd say your version of high level is probably above and beyond anyone else's high level.
Yeah, that's
true.
So the metal work on that car is going to be, top tier. So we've done rust repair and then dent repair. Fabrication wise, the only thing that's really happening to that car is going to be a custom metal flare. Pretty much going to take like the original design of what the flare looks like on the front fender, blow it up, move it up a little higher, and just have a bigger version of that same flare to cover the wheels on the front and the back, since it's on a roaster shop independent chassis.
Yeah.
But that car itself is going to be getting a modern LS3 motor with a Tremec 6-speed transmission.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
And it will just be...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fun little truck. And
it'll get completely metalworked and gapped. And it will be, it'll just be a high-end, clean restoration, but be one hell of a driver.
Right.
Yeah. Let's say you got full independent roadster shop chassis.
It's the fast track
LS3.
chassis from roadster shop. Yeah, LS3 with a Tremec. The customer of that car is a very spirited driver.
Yeah.
And so this is more of him to be able to take it to the track if he wants to rip it, and rip it down in Mexico if he wants to do that.
That's it.
Yeah. That's what we always say, filmed in Mexico.
Right. That's right. So, okay, let's go back to something too, because what got you to the level of fabrication skills right now? Like, you're talking about things like gapping doors, fixing body lines, chopping things, refining things. How was that something that was? How did that come to you?
So, it was. I mean, even go way back. I come from mini trucking. I built mini trucks, a ton of them back in the day, and I kind of I fell into the hot rod stuff, which was like the best thing.
They kind of needed a guy that could do metal work, or it was kind of
I built the Lolux, which and it was outside my shop, and this guy Nick had a hot rod shop down the street from me, hot rod like Pro Touring. He drove by, saw the Lolux sitting outside, and I went and I started working for this guy like 2 weeks later.
Right.
And that's when I learned about all right, I got to stop MIG welding sheet metal. I got to start TIG welding sheet metal.
Yeah.
I got to start metal finishing this stuff. Like, he taught me a lot of that. And then when working with him, I was meeting everybody in the industry. I was doing, I got in with Hollywood Hot Rods. And even the 7 years I was with Troy, I was still moonlighting. I was moonlighting with a friend doing a restoration shop and looking at the level of stuff that restorations had to be built with. I was moonlighting for Nelson and doing muscle car stuff.
And looking at what they're doing. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So you're kind of pulling the best aspects of
influences
each thing
from each thing. So like with Troy, we'd always clean up lines and sharpen up and make stuff flow better, which I take in. But then at Nelson's is more pro touring style and modern builds, where we were like,
more angles of stuff a little bit maybe.
So we were utilizing modern latches and stuff.
Yeah,
so
true.
The Jimmy that we have in our booth has 2022 Cadillac Escalade soft close latches.
Yeah.
It has BMW 28i hood latches in the tailgate. And it's just so we can get the sensors and we can get that modern close fill.
Right.
Square bodies are notorious for just slamming the doors.
Yeah, you have to slam the door.
This truck, you can walk and close it with your index finger, just barely close it.
Right.
And you put even new weather stripping on a square body, and you're never closing the thing.
Yeah.
And that's was kind of bringing up, because like we talked about the Mulholland Speedster, of like what do you see as the difference of building a nice car and building a competition level car for world's most beautiful truck or an amber car, something like that, as far as like the metal work or the finishing work would be?
Well, if you're going to compete for one of the major awards, whether it's most beautiful truck or amber or Slonaker, you're going to be changing a lot of the proportions of that car for the better.
Right.
You want to look at the lines of like where the fenders line up with doors, how the roof line goes. If you have a rake on the front end, maybe you want to match that rake with the back of the cab, or even the back of the bed. You want to get lines to flow together.
Right.
And there's a lot of old cars that were just assembled and they didn't flow. And
well, especially most old cars,
yeah. And there's a lot of things like, your 67 to 72 Chevy trucks. It's the most heavily modified C-10 truck out of all of the models.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And they've been done every which way, and you could still even do them completely different.
Right.
I mean, Hot Rides by Dino over here, like this one is, you look at it, there's so many little details that you're not going to see except you'll go back the second time and see.
Exactly.
And you can change the little lines on these trucks and make them just flow so much better. And like, you're going to be changing lines on a car. Maybe you want it to look faster than it is. You can change the lines to make that car
exaggerate
look
the line
like,
a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's in motion as
Standing
it's parked
still.
there.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, and even like on the C-10s, I know on these, some of the body lines, because you got to remember of 1950s, 60s technology of stamping, the curve on the door is not exactly at the same point.
They're the worst.
Yeah.
Same radius as on the bed or something like that.
Well,
So, which not a big deal, but if you're going for something like
feel
this,
like with the trucks, you have a little bit more leeway. Now, the 67, well, actually 69 and 72 Blazers, that body style Blazers are so much worse.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you're gapping a Roadster. I mean, it is a Roadster technically.
Right.
But it's like gapping the old Roadster cars where you're going to have to shim.
so much flex that
There's
happened
so
in
much
that.
flex.
Yeah.
And then that quarter panel is the same quarter panel that's on the bed of the trucks, just
Right.
same molds.
Yeah.
But that one does not match the door line at
all. Right.
Oh,
and
really?
so if
Yeah.
Oh,
you're
that's right.
rescaling
Yeah.
the doors and the quarter panel to get those to the car to scale
Yeah.
into gap cleaning. I mean, we just did one in the shop about 2 weeks ago, and the amount of work to get that car to all the ready for paint it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it was just keeping the stock lines.
Right.
That
I was
wasn't
gonna say, yeah, you weren't
modifying
going
anything.
too
That was
far
just
out of the
getting
box.
it to where it's a high-end paint job. Is the painter's just going to be able to go in and have a good what's the word?
You don't want him to be relying on a bunch of body work and Bondo and stuff like that.
You're giving him
want
a good platform to go off of for him to
give him
do
the best
his thing.
canvas that.
Canvas. That's the
there you
word
go.
I was looking for. Yeah. And so, even just lines. Kind of got lost what we're talking about. But
No.
the lines on those year Blazers, just to get them dialed up. And then if you take one of those Blazers, I think there's the red one down on the end over here.
Yeah.
They changed a ton of the stuff on that one.
Right.
So not only are you working with the Blazer that is hard to gap already, now you're going to change the proportions and get it to flow better and do all that stuff at the same time of gapping it with the way the Blazers gap, not having the top on them.
So let me ask you this too, because everybody I do a lot of custom paint work myself, and everybody always asks me, why does it take so long? Do you have to have the gaps, properly fixed? And I tell people well, hey, do you want your front door to open and close naturally? Mm-hmm. So when you look at a project like that, when you're looking at metalwork, what do you think, are there some projects you just look at and go, that's too much for your average guy?
Now, before we start any build with a customer, I'm like, what is your use case?
Right.
Yeah.
What is your use case?
What do you want to see out of this? What's your goal?
And it doesn't matter. We'll do 3/16 gaps on every car.
That's what
it's what it's going to get.
Right.
Body work and filler, and 3/16 is like a standard.
That's a standard, right?
Now, high-end show cars will go to an 8.
8th, right?
Now, I don't sell my customers on an 1/8 inch because my customers are building high-end cars that they want a daily drive.
Right.
Now. They want to drive these cars and they want them to be amazing. And you get flex in the roads and stuff.
Right.
And an 1/8 inch is your trailer queen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a car with 3/16 gap, let's go square body.
Sure.
Square bodies were one of the worst produced C-10s.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they have an inch
of them.
gap on the top of the
Yes,
door or
spacer and
something.
where-
Shims
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
So now you take Elwood, we have Elwood in our booth, and you put it next to another one, and you're looking at the factory gaps, and there'll be two beautiful trucks, and you're not going to notice it, but the one that's been gapped is going to look so much better to you than the one that hasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Your eyes don't see it.
Yeah.
They'll look exactly the same paint job, same stance, everything.
Right.
But that one that's been gapped is just going to have sharper lines. Your eye draws to, you don't know you're looking at it until you're looking at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. If there isn't something to catch your eye,
Exactly.
that's what you're after.
Yep.
And that's what I think a lot of people kind of get mixed up. Some people get tied up on that deal, thinking it's got to be perfect, but I can't drive it. But then you can't drive it.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart that you ask your customer that. What is your expectations? What's your usage?
Yeah.
If you want something that is going to be something that's a turntable car. I was thinking of that word.
Or trailer queen.
Trailer
or
queen,
something.
whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be that level because it's a competition.
Well, and I found that in the years of doing this, and with all the shops, it's there was always that everybody wanted to go for the awards. They wanted to go for the big, they wanted the most crazy thing. But in the last 4 years, I mean, the Roadster Shop had a big part of this because of their chassis are so quality.
Right.
Is people are wanting these quality cars, but they want to drive them.
Yeah.
They want to daily them. They want to drive them across country now. And it's like a lot of those high-end show cars, a lot of, amber cars and stuff, they're not real quality drivers. You're not going to want to drive them across country.
Right.
Or I even remember seeing probably at least, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 years ago of like someone getting in an amber winter to drive it out to the trailer, and they're like this and sticking their head out over the windshield.
It's not
and like
fun to
trying to doing stuff. And I think us truck guys and the pro touring muscle cars, I think had a lot to do with that for
and even going back
being
to
able
like,
to just go drive it and make it drivable, make it performance.
Well, it was even the same with mini truck and going
it.
back all the way to then. Like, we were building mini trucks. Like, I was building them in a dirt, backyard behind a garage.
Right.
And we'd be welding on it 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then leaving
wake up
at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive it to a show.
Yes.
6 hours away in the next state.
Right. Like nothing like trial by fire, right?
Exactly. That's what we were doing. And now, at that time, like, we're all getting to that age. Like, a lot of the guys that were early building these cars, as teenagers and stuff, are now to the age where they can spend a ton of money on these vehicles.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. They were driving them then, and now they want to drive them now.
Yeah.
It's the I want to enjoy it. I want to drive it for what it is versus just, oh, that's cool.
And if
stare at it. Yeah.
If you have, this is a rough example, and this is what, in my opinion, where minimal cost these are for a high-end truck. You're spending $350K on a supercar. You drive it. I mean, there's like daily driving exotics and all that. They're spending that. Well, you want something one-off. You're going to spend $350 and up on a one-off custom car or truck.
Right.
And they're going to expect to drive it the same that you would drive the supercar.
Yes.
Now, you go back, 20, 30 years, and there was those high-end supercars. They weren't great to drive.
No.
It was the same thing. Like, now they're quality drivers. They expect that the same. And it's like, I have customers that have GT3 RSs.
Right.
And they drive them till they hit 7,000 miles, and then they sell it because it's a fucking But, but they're driving it, and they're enjoying it, and they spend this money on a car with high-end. They expect that same creature comforts. That's why we put modern latches, and we're putting modern features in these cars, is because they want that classic look, but they want that modern feel and drivability.
I do.
Oh.
Mini truck dancing bed
expedition.
Hold on.
Do we have a bikini contest?
that would be a truck show.
Wet T-shirt contest.
Oh, no, well, we know the mini truck runs.
Those were some crazy ones.
Skin to win.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep, come on.
Okay. Shit.
What were we talking about?
No, I had it, and I had a good
high-end cars.
Driving.
I was just one thing that really stuck in my mind from probably about 10 years ago. I was at Troy Chapanier's, Rad Rides by Troy. Obviously one of the top builders.
The leader out there.
He's done a handful of trucks. Maybe he had like 2 or 3. But
not many.
He needs to get some more hands on some trucks. To see what his take on them would be. But they're working on a sedan. Might have been the Cadillac or something for Wes Rydell. And this was 2014, so right when the new redesigned Chevy truck body came out.
Okay.
And obviously Rydell dealerships. So they were reworking the metal in order to fit 2014 Silverado weather stripping all around it, because he really liked how his Silverado closed and was quiet. He wanted
that seal
on it. So they were spending a week's worth of metalwork time to redo
more.
it.
Yeah, I know,
Just guessing, to do all the jams on his 4-door to put the new weather stripping in. So the technology's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
And companies have gotten a lot better where everything can fit into that, where it is like you have no problem driving that car or that truck that's got coilovers or air suspension and full chassis and LS3, drive it anywhere or drive it across the country. So it's all just kind of had to come together to that, but it just keeps kind of
it's the whole
stepping
industry.
the game up a little bit.
Acura fucking stepped up the game on air management, ridiculous amounts. And airlift was kind of in the back burner, and like in ride tech they weren't really doing stuff. Now they have pushed
it was all
up
still
because they had
manual.
to, because AccuAir had pushed, the level up.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's the same with the chassis. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but the Mustang 2 was like on everything, and every
and it was never
chassis
the best
company
suspension anyways,
was making their own version of that Mustang 2. And now you've got Art Morrison stepping up their game. You got Roadster Shop, I think at the leader of it, just pushing the levels of it all.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's technology.
It is.
When you look at Mustang 2, that was the greatest technology at the
Exactly.
time when
In
they were building
1978.
when they were building 32.
And I understand
Yeah.
why people weren't
no,
wanting
no.
to drive them.
Right. But you look at it, it was now you try to put a Mustang 2 onto a heavier car, and it's just not designed for it.
Exactly.
Right. So now you have people that have redesigned things that have been based off of heavier cars because the technology got bigger. You look at Roadster Shop, a lot of it's GM.
Well,
you look
yeah,
at underneath
so
it, like A-arms and all that. That's GM.
our Legends truck, Jimmy, that we have over there, that's pretty much a 2019 Chevy truck
Right,
underneath.
right.
Push
Yeah.
button 4-wheel drive. It's
Yeah.
as modern as it gets.
Yeah.
And then the Chevy Love that we've got is all C7 Corvette.
I was going to say, yeah, you look at all the independent rear on that thing, and it's all late model vet.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where things are going. And vets have always had that kind of place. Like, I mean, ever since the C4s, when people started putting that suspension on
Yeah.
street rod. So,
Well, that was the thing is even then they started back then putting the vet stuff because they wanted the performance out of it.
Right.
They wanted to start using it.
Right.
It wasn't there yet.
right, it wasn't there yet. Exactly. And now we're in that era where it's there. But also, too, look at how powertrains have caught up, too. We're not putting small block Chevrolets from 55 in these things anymore. Now we're putting a small block that was built, yesterday.
Yep.
Look at how many LT4s, that seems to be the engine of choice around here.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, we got one of those too.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's got a belly button, basically.
With a supercharger on
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
probably.
But if you're going to keep up in this game, because, well, why not? Your late model Cadillac has a supercharger. Your late model Camaro, So
Well,
why would
yeah.
you do that?
And then that brings up another topic is I've had customers that want the supercharger power, but it's like you don't know what the supercharger power is because
Right.
supercharger power back then was 400 horsepower.
Right. Yeah. Now it's
supercharger
1,000.
Is,
yeah.
Is now
7. It's
800
Right.
plus.
I've got 3 cars in the shop with Nelson Motors,
Right.
twin turbos, 1,700 horsepower.
Right.
It's like, what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Granted, but anything over 6 on a street car
But that's
is
the thing
you're
is
not putting down.
you can go get
Well,
a
right.
Camry with 300 horsepower
Exactly.
almost, so it's kind of like
That's-
it all just
yeah.
And so the
Keeps
LT4
ramping
puts out,
up.
700 and something.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's something
reliably.
you can go...
Reliable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, reliable.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll have customers, he's got superchargers. All their cars are superchargers, everything they do. And then the owner of that, Jimmy, we're doing a 61 Lincoln Continental, twin turbo Nelson Racing Coyote.
Yeah.
We did a Bronco for him with a Nelson Racing supercharged Coyote.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I think this Jimmy's the least amount of horsepower out of all
Right.
the cars we've done with him, and it's 725 or something like that. So.
And you already said it. Throughout the years, there's been like a number that people
Yeah.
try to get. Like a good street car used to be a 5. If you made 500 horsepower, you were impressive.
But now
That
the
was
suspension,
that's
high, yeah.
Right.
now the suspension and the products
Yep.
can back the horsepower.
Right.
That's
it can handle.
Right.
I don't
the
know
more
if it can
power,
quite
yeah.
back to 1700 yet, but
Well, the
they're
driver
getting there.
can't do that either because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
also
that's
a
true.
point of limit
Yeah.
where you lose talent.
Yeah.
So, someone with and even 700 horsepower, someone with that kind of horsepower right now, you need to be a very talented driver to even drive that car.
Yeah.
And we've
Yeah.
seen that
I
on
mean,
a lot of
that's the thing,
sideshows.
You see a lot of the
Yeah.
the Corvettes and Mustang guys and stuff.
Yeah.
Not realizing that it's not
They get away from you.
a full blown race car. They don't have the talent of a race car
Right.
driver. so
Right. Yeah.
They'll get away from you.
It just happens.
Yeah.
Well, now, so a few of your personal things, because we've talked about your customer stuff, but like your Toyota Scarlet,
Oh,
Super
that
cool.
one's not a person.
Yeah, I
That
was
was
gonna
a
say,
customer
that's
too.
customer.
customer
Yeah.
car, but it was
Yeah.
something that was totally more like your creation, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that customer gave me pretty much free range. It came in for a moonroof to lead, and I upsold on
I'll tell
everything
you, I
else.
remember
right.
that. You're like, now completely
Yeah.
redone car from
Right.
scratch almost.
It's the vision I have is like taking a Singer Porsche, but
Yeah.
putting all of that into a nice Toyota truck.
That's-
Or Toyota Starlet, and that's
Yeah.
what it looks like.
Right.
But it got all the hot rod metalwork and all the stuff like. The custom flares, aluminum bumpers,
Right.
splitters, all interior panels were shaped out of aluminum. And
Yeah.
stuff. Like it had all the high-end stuff that you would put in a, 6-figure car.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it was still
Well,
a
and that-
6-figure
and-
car,
and
but
it-
it was
yeah.
just a Toyota.
But yeah, right.
Well, and that's what is really cool of seeing of your high-end builds now aren't the same as what high end build. Oh, it's a street rod, or it's
Right.
32
Well, and
or
that's
something
the
like
thing
that.
is because-
you're now go to SEMA or go wherever, and you can see a little any and everything almost all built to the same or level, if not more.
Well, and at SEMA when we took it, there was a Datsun, a Z.
Yeah.
And it was the only the Starlet and that Z were one of the first Japanese cars to get built over 6 figures.
See?
And that's the thing is now those guys are to the age where those classic Japanese cars are
Yeah,
cool.
they just,
I imported a car from Japan. There's only 2 in the United States. And I plan on doing, roast shop, V12,
Right.
crazy build with this Japanese car.
Yeah.
What is it?
1970 Toyota Crown Coupe.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only 2 in
Yeah,
the
that'd
US.
be really. So is that the longer version of their?
Yes.
But you said coupe though.
Yeah,
It's a coupe. It's a hard top.
Right. Yeah.
But I consider it's the Paula SS of Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Full chassis car.
Yeah. Okay.
The front end comes off like a Camaro. So inner tubs come off, the front end comes
Oh,
off.
no shit.
This is the era of Japanese cars being built of muscle cars. It's
Yeah.
a Japanese
Yeah,
muscle
right,
car.
yeah,
right.
that kind
But
of
it's got
equivalent.
it's got 67 Impala SS body lines kind of.
Oh, that's cool.
It's got that sleek muscle car look, but it's a smaller Japanese car, but it's considered a big body car. It's
For
an
the-
inline,
yeah,
comparatively,
right,
yeah.
comparatively, it's
Yeah.
a inline 6.
Okay.
But full chassis car, 4-link suspension. So I'm gonna bag it and cruise it bagged for a while.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
I'm gonna send it out. It's gonna get a roadster shop fast track.
Okay.
With a Toyota Century Limo V12
That's
with
fucking
ITBs and
Right.
long tube batteries.
That's cool.
Dude.
It's gonna get built
Wow.
I want to build it like a complete, resto mod street machine, but a Japanese version.
Yeah,
of
right.
it.
Yeah, you say
Right.
it's all going to have it's modern, newer engine, but it's a Toyota engine.
Toyota
It's-
engine,
yeah,
yes. It'll be
it's kinda
roadster shop
taken a lot of
chassis
the-
with
Yeah.
the IRS,
Yeah.
but it'll have complete modern latches, gapping, all the works that I do on my cars that I like to
Yeah.
do.
Right.
But with a little bit of Japanese styling and
I was
That's
just
cool.
say, especially because around that era, maybe later on and stuff, a lot of the Yakuza guys, the VIP style started to come about, and
Yeah.
so that you can kind of blend some of that in with the muscle. They were kind of trying to go a little
Well, they
muscle
were
car
doing-
with
yeah.
it. Then you can bring
well,
that
it's
in
like
and
everybody
bring a
there,
little
they
bit of their
always
style
wanted all
into
the
it.
American wheels, and
Yeah.
I want all the Japanese wheels, and so
Yeah.
I imported some 14s, 3-piece wheels from Japan, and my plan is to take that wheel. They don't make it anymore,
Right.
But now I'm going to blow it up to an 18, so I
Yeah.
can have but it's going to be that vintage. I have Star Sharks on the car,
Right.
and I want to blow that up to an 18. It's the Japanese guys are going to appreciate it,
Yeah.
and that's where they look at the Moon Ice has one, and it's built like an American car.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to build it as an American with Japanese styling, but the way we do our pro touring cars.
Yeah.
I want to give it that. It's
That
gonna be
level
a
of respect and level of
exactly. It's a
work and
personal
quality
car.
going
I'm doing
into
all
it.
the metal work. I'm still going to be over 6 figures into that car with just the components and parts.
Well,
into
yeah.
it.
Yeah, because it's also not necessarily your
No.
run down to AutoZone
I
or
can't.
run
There's
to
nothing for
O'Reilly.
that car I
was
can
gonna
get out
say.
here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
100%.
full custom.
Right.
Yeah, and
you know.
the wide body, everything. I can't get panels for it. I can't get any replacement stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So it's going to be all full custom.
Yep.
So
Sorry.
He's zoning out on something right now.
No, I just saw somebody walking around with a shirt of Robert Wilson's OBS truck on the back of it that he sold 30 years ago. So I'm sure that person now owns it. That was just fished out of a wrecking yard, according to Instagram. So sorry, I just kind of zoned out for a minute.
okay. It'll be interesting to get that
Right?
story.
I might have to hunt them down and
Yeah.
get the story. So
But yeah, so let's wrap this up. So obviously that's kind of what's one of the things that's next, obviously, that you're doing.
That car, that
Is
one's
there anything else you could
right now.
speak of that you're working on?
So I have my personal C30 dually. We're Duramax swapping that.
Rad.
And we're doing all of the tube work, the water to air, intercooler, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to do in that.
Cool.
And that's for my personal self. But in the shop currently, we've got the Jimmy that is our spec builds that we're actually going to start trying to do spec square bodies. I have
Good idea.
four of them on an inventory right now on our website.
Okay.
Ready to go. So we have another Jimmy, pre-smog Jimmy, and we have 2 pre-smog trucks.
nice.
And then I have a C30. It's not pre-smog, but it is a classic Fixco cover car from Hot Boat Magazine.
Really?
And I got it. It was their race rig for their sprint cars.
No
So
shit.
I've got the C30. It's all orange with the sleeper.
Yeah?
And I have the orange race trailer that came with it. I have
Nice.
the whole package. That we're restoring the truck, and we
That'd be
might
cool.
get to the trailer.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the
It's part
company's
of the
still
whole-
around, so I'm going to hit them up and see if I can use
Yeah,
the
see-
original Ofixco graphics.
That'd be cool.
And put it back on the truck, and then see if they would be interested in buying it back.
Well, there you go.
And then we have a few cars. We have the Link in the shoebox, 2 Pro Touring Novas going on right now.
Well,
Nice.
listen, I've got a sprint car for you for
Okay.
a display. It's a period correct from that era too, so
Oh, that'd be perfect.
we'll get that figured
Get
out.
the right graphics on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Slap it in that trailer.
Yeah, that'd be
Perfect.
cool. Right on. All right.
Really cool.
Well,
So
thanks,
we're gonna
Sean.
check-
Yeah.
People can check you out.
All right, so we're on Instagram as Empire_Fabrication.
Yes.
Facebook, our website's EmpireFabrication.com. Yeah, come take a look. I try to post on Instagram religiously, but I'm not. I'm real bad.
You're like all of
You're
us.
just
Don't worry about it.
working on
I
stuff.
get
and
like
got
a
something
week.
cool.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and then it's like
Yeah.
4 posts, and then I'll be a month and a half, 2
Right,
months.
right, yeah. I
And
feel
then
bad.
I'll like put together like it's whenever I go on vacation and my wife's driving, I just sit in the passenger
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah, you
and
got
I
some
make all the
downtime.
posts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can't Instagram when you're welding or
Yeah.
metalworking
We're too
and all
busy.
that
Right,
stuff.
got something.
so.
You got stuff.
Yeah.
Got stuff
so yeah,
to do.
go check them out. Empire Fabrication. Obviously here at the show, there's got a handful of vehicles out here, but you could come out to the Roadster show as well. Dino's,
Yeah,
stuff
Dinos.
like that. So.
We try to do some of the C-10 shows. We haven't really done them this year. We missed Slowdown, but it's been a busy year for us, and so
good.
this is actually the only show I think we're doing this year.
Oh wow. Okay.
you go.
Well, I'm glad he showed up.
Yeah, well, good having you.
Yeah,
All
thanks
right,
for
good
having
deal.
me.
Yep.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.